going to have Ram Nutaki delivering a very, very special speech. This is speech number 10.
Yay!
Here we go. Now, speech number 10 is special, and it is because it's a speech that combines all the techniques and skills that we learned from the previous 9 speeches, culminating into one last speech that is going to inspire the audience. And so Ram is going to do that. And Ram is grateful that he's finally getting to speech number 10. And with the title, Play is Not for Children, please give a thunderous welcome to Ram Nutaki.
Thank you. When we think of play, we usually think of children. You know, when you put a group of children together, no matter what their background, they're going to play. And play has been shown to be of enormous benefit to children. It helps them develop physically, it helps them become smarter, it helps them develop good social skills. You learn how to share, you learn how to take turns. So you learn a lot of useful social skills. And so basically play is essential for the emotional, physical, and mental well-being of children. But what about adults? Don't we need to play? As adults, we rarely play. I mean, as the older we get, I think the less we play. And sometimes people stop playing altogether. And so, you know, is that a good thing? So what I'd like to do in this speech is actually suggest that play is just as important for adults as it is for children. And I want to actually give some suggestions on how we can get more play into our life as adults. And what motivated me to give this speech was actually, I read an article a few months ago about play for adults. And I was thinking about it, I realized when I was young, I used to play a lot. Even when I was in university, I used to play a lot of sport. I used to do a lot of different things, go dancing, do many, many different things. And I realize now that the play has gone down to a low level, and I'm missing out on a lot of fun and enjoyment. So that's one of the things I thought, I'm gonna embrace play even as an adult. And so that's what I want you to do. So the leading expert on play for adults is Stanford professor Stuart Brown. And he got interested in this whole idea when him and a panel were asked to assess a prisoner who was a mass murderer. And so this distinguished panel of scientists and psychologists, psychiatrists, analyzed why this person killed a lot of people, but he shot a whole bunch of people at the University of Texas. So they want to know why would he do something like that. And what they found was one of the main factors was actually that he was very play deprived as a child. So he was not allowed to play. He had a very deprived childhood, and this was one of the factors which led him to do what he did. And so what Stuart Brown has done lots of studies, 6,000 studies of play histories. And what he says is that play is a biological function that's just as important as sleeping and eating. So it's an essential biological function. And furthermore, he says that as humans, we're designed to play our whole lives, not just as children, but we're designed to play our whole lives, and it brings joy to our life. We also become better at learning, better at having skill, developing skills, and being resilient. So play is very important, and play occurs universally. Every person you meet, play is hardwired into their system. No matter where they're from, play is something that's very important to them. And it's important even for all mammals, in fact, have play. And so you can have play across species. For example, people play with their dogs. You've probably seen that quite a bit. But what's remarkable is that in the TED Talk that Stuart Brown gave a few years ago, he actually showed some stunning pictures of a wild polar bear playing with a husky. And that was actually, it's amazing, because you think that, this polar bear is absolutely huge and this husky is small, but they gave signals, the play signals, and you can see that they actually played and they really enjoyed it. So it's something, we always think, okay, animals are ferocious and all that, but play is essential part of our biology. So what's the evidence for play? There are a number of studies which I'll mention. So as I mentioned, Stuart Brown has studied over 6,000 case histories of play, and what he found was that when people are deprived of play, they become rigid, they have a lost sense of purpose, and they become depressed as well. So it really has quite profound influences, and so you can see that's one of the reasons that I think we're a sad society in a lot of ways, is because we don't play and we don't have enough fun. We're always serious and we always think about, oh my God, there's all these problems. But rather than just go into a state of play where you lose a sense of time, lose yourself. And I think that's very important. If you look at studies on rats, what they found was that rats are one of the most playful creatures that you find on the planet. And what you find is when you deprive rats of play, what happens is that when they have a stressful interaction, they do one of two things. First, they just go into a rage, they go into a blind rage. Or the other thing is they go scurrying into a corner and just hide. They're quivering in a corner. So that's the reaction of rats that are deprived of play. But if you actually give those rats even just 1 hour of play a day, soon they'll actually be back to normal and they'll be able to handle whatever they need to handle, fairly well, like they normally do. The normal stresses they encounter, they can handle it and they can get through it. And even for human beings, studies have shown that there's a study done of a group of young people, and they're actually told, they're actually considered people that like to clown around, people that are enthusiastic, energetic, and they found these type of people, which are playful people, will end up having much less stress, and they're able to cope with things much better than people who don't play. So again, that attitude of play is very important in life. And play also has, in business, play also has a very useful role, is that it helps enhance creativity and problem solving. So at NASA and at Boeing, what they actually have done, they've hired a neurologist and a mechanic to help interview prospective research people, and they want the brightest and most creative people. And what these consultants have found is that if people don't play or they don't manipulate things and work with their hands when they're young, they actually don't have good problem skills. So even if you have a degree, you're a top student at one of the best universities in the world, your problem solving skills will not be properly developed unless you played, tinkered with things and done that. And so that has a profound impact on even business. We need creative people that can solve problems. And so one of the ways to do it is make sure that people have play, especially as they're in school and stuff, learn how to solve problems, try different things, tinker around. So I think that's, again, a very important role of play. And finally, I'll give you one last example, and that is that play actually makes you more attractive to the opposite sex. So it'll help you get more dates. So that's what you're into. So what they did is they did a study of at Pennsylvania State University, and they asked people the 15 characteristics that you want to find in a potential long-term mate. And things like fun-loving, playful, and good sense of humor all made the top 5 in both lists. So again, it just shows you being playful is attractive. It's something we're drawn to. You have energy, you have vitality. So that's another thing we're drawn to. So as I've just said, play is really vital. It brings you joy. It actually produces neurochemicals in your brain which make you feel good. It makes you smarter, makes you a better problem solver, allows you to handle stress. So play is actually a very useful thing. But how do we get play though? And I think the first thing is the attitude that you have towards play. So what you need to do is just say, play is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And that's the thing that you have to do. And so, so that's one thing we have to do. So the next thing you need to do is actually look at, there are many different kinds of play. So one kind of play is roughhousing play, the kind you do when you wrestle or do that with your with friends. So I like to wrestle with my son. We like to do sumo wrestling. We actually we make a little circle and we just go in there and go in for sumo wrestling, and I really find that fun. I also do things like sparring in Taekwondo, and that's another thing I find quite enjoyable. There's other things like where you have games with rules, like playing football or also playing board games. Those are all another form of play. Imagination is another form where you just, things like drawing, writing a story, coloring. Those are all things that can lead to another form of play. Finally, one important play is just body play. So whenever you're feeling down, if you just jump up and down, shake it around, you're going to smile. And you're going to smile and you're going to feel happy. So there are lots of aspects of play. And finally, one final aspect of play is play with objects. And the thing I like to do best is throw snowballs. So, or you can, when you're little, you build blocks, or I actually like to build robot kits and so on. So there are lots of things you can do to play. And so what I would encourage everyone is to find something that you enjoy. Look into play. What did you enjoy as a child? What kind of things did you enjoy? And what kind of things would you like to try? And I invite you to play, and then you'll find that if you play more, you'll have a happier and more fulfilled life. Thank you.
Yeah.